everyone. Good morning and welcome to today's The Hindu News Analysis. Myself Nidin K. Biju. I'll be appearing for the civil service interview this year. Coming to the contents, we'll be discussing about 6 main news articles which are there in the Hindu newspaper today. Before going to the first article, I want you guys to pause for a second and try to attempt the question by yourself. After discussing the relevant article, we'll come back to the question again. Coming to the first article, fishing in troubled waters during a pandemic. Here, the article is regarding China's aggression in the South China Sea, despite of the fact that the world is facing the corona pandemic. Coming to the article, even as countries struggle to cope up with COVID-19, Beijing's military moves in the contested South China Sea continues to take place unabated. Recently, China has conducted many military drills as well as deployed large-scale military in the maritime area of the South China Sea. The various issues are as follows. The Vietnam ministry, they reported that the Chinese Coast Guard has rammed and sunk a Vietnam fishing boat carrying 8 fishermen in the Paracel Islands of the South China Sea. Here I have marked the Paracel Islands in the South China Sea separately because it is a very important geographical concept which the map of which we'll be discussing in the next slide. Also, apart from this, there have been incidents involving Chinese fishing vessels and the Chinese coast guards with Indonesian fishing vessels in the Natuna Sea as well. So this Natuna Sea also we'll be discussing in the slide separately. So apart from Vietnam and Indonesia, they have issues with Philippines as well because the Chinese military plane has been landed on a Kagitingan reef in the West Philippine Sea. Also, they have also started a research station in Kagitingan and Zamora Reef, also which is also in the West Philippine Sea. We'll be discussing about this geographical concept in the coming slides. So, as we've already seen, so why the Chinese are doing this? One is that the China sees this as a window of opportunity. The world is facing a COVID pandemic. America is facing its worst pandemic. So also recently American ties with Vietnam was increasing. Vietnam has been an ardent supporter of US freedom of navigation operation, which is called as FONOPS, carried out in the South China Sea. So now US is not involved in the South China Sea because they are involved in the corona pandemic. Okay, now China sees this as an opportunity, right? Also, why China sees Vietnam as a threat? At present, Vietnam is the chair of the ASEAN. Not only that, among all the claimant countries means the countries which claims some areas in the South China Sea, like Paracel Islands, for example, all those. Okay, among those claimant countries, Vietnam has always taken a strong stand against Chinese actions. For example, even when Indonesia or even the other countries like Philippines changed its stance quite often, but Vietnam was very strong in its anti-Chinese stand. So hence, China has always kept a watch on Vietnam in the South China Sea. Also, the article concludes by saying that if China has to restore its global credibility, especially after the COVID pandemic, then increasing tensions in the South China Sea should be its least priority. But it is very unlikely that the Chinese Communist Party will let go of this opportunity where the entire world is fighting pandemic. Then China will use this opportunity to expand its regional claims. So this is what the article talks about. Now coming to some of the geographical concepts here. So this area is the South China Sea. This area is the South China Sea. So here you can see a red line here. A red line starting from here in Hanoi to Malaysia, Brunei, Philippines, Taiwan, like that. So this line is called the 9-dash line. 9-dash line, it refers to the area in the South China Sea which is claimed by China as its area, right? So you can see that it crosses through the seas of most of the countries, like it crosses through the seas of Vietnam, Malaysia, Brunei, Philippines, etc. So this is why this is all about this South China Sea issue. Similarly, you can see here This is Paracel Islands, which is of controversy, and this is the Scarborough Shoal, which is also a part of the controversy. You can also see Spratly Islands here. So these are the main islands which, if you are able to remember this, and if there is a question on South China Sea in the mains examination, if you are able to roughly draw this diagram, marking the Paracel Islands, Spratly Islands, etc., then you'll be getting better marks. Also, come to this area. Have you seen this area where Malaysia is written? The bottom part. This Malaysia is written, no? So this area of sea is called as the Natuna Sea. We have already seen Natuna Sea. China has issue with Indonesia regarding the Natuna Sea. So this area is called as Natuna Sea, which is around this area marked as Malaysia. Okay. So that is all about Nine Dash Line, Spratly Islands, Paracel Islands, and Natuna Sea. Now coming to, we have already seen as something called as Philippines Sea. Where is Philippines Sea? Philippines Sea is located on the east and northeast of Philippines. So for this, you need to know the map of Philippines. We are seeing here, Philippines is marked here in red. So to the east of Philippines and the northeast of Philippines, this is the Philippines Sea. Okay. So I hope you understood the mapping of the area. As well as we have told about two reefs, right? Samura Reef and all. Please just do it as a homework. Try to locate those two reefs, where are they, and try to connect it with the South China Sea. Okay. Now we have already also discussed the countries which are in the ASEAN region. For example, we have discussed about Vietnam, Indonesia, we have discussed about Philippines. So this is a trick to remember the ASEAN countries. BBC TV LIMS. Okay, B stands for Burma. So here Burma means Myanmar. To make it easier for remembrance, I just marked it as Burma. Then another B for Brunei, then C for Cambodia, T for Thailand, V for Vietnam, L for Laos, I for Indonesia, M for Malaysia, P for Philippines, and S for Singapore. So this is the easiest way to remember the ASEAN countries. Now coming back to the first practice question. Which of the following nations is not a part of the ASEAN grouping? Option A, Brunei. Option B, Papua New Guinea. Option C, Laos. Option D, Cambodia. So we have already seen BBC TV LIMS, the shortcut. In that we have seen that Brunei comes in the second B. So Brunei is a part of it. Then Laos is also a part of it, LIMS, LIMPS. And Cambodia, BBC, Cambodia. Right. So the only country which is not a part of the ASEAN grouping is Papua New Guinea. Right. So option V is the answer. Coming to the next topic. This is the editorial of today's newspaper. This topic is regarding the rapid failures, the failures of the rapid antibody testing, which countries, which the states have been trying to take conduct, right? So significant error rates for COVID-19 antibody testing kits underscore the need for caution. So in previous slides, we have discussed about what is antigen, what is antibody. I mean, in the previous videos. So we'll just once go through it and come back to this article again. So what is an antigen? Antigen is a virus or any other microorganisms which are foreign bodies and try to enter the human body. They are known as antigens. And what is an antibody? Antibody is our body's or our immune system's response to those antigens, to fight those antigens. The proteins which are produced in the body is called as antibodies, right? So in order to detect a disease, we can use two methods. We can check for whether antigens are there in our body, or we can also see that whether antibodies are produced in response to our the antigen which has come in. So this creates a situation where we can use two kind of test. One is the antigen test and one is the antibody test. So coming to the antigen test, there is a PCR antigen test, polymerase chain reaction. It is the antigen test that detects the signs of the virus genetic material in the body. And coming to the antibody test, it is also called a serologic test. It detects the antibodies that the body produces to fight the virus. The antibodies exist in blood and tissues throughout the body. So to test antibodies, we usually take blood sample. And to take antigen test, we usually take the swabs from the throat and all, right? Now coming to the editorial. So there have been many cases where the rapid antibody test have been not giving the proper results. While the diagnostic RT-PCR test, PCR is the antigen test to confirm the presence of the virus using the nasal swab, it is considered reliable. But the rapid test that uses a blood sample to find antibodies have thrown up errors in as much as third of the case. Third of the case means it missed around 30% of the positive cases. For example, out of 100 positive cases, this antibody test confirms only 70 70 people to be positive, and the rest of the people who are positive, they are given an error, they are given to be negative, right? So this is the issue which is happening there. This is a phenomenon worrying India because it has imported several 100,000 rapid kits, testing kits, right? So thinking that we can test very fast, like within half an hour we can test, we can find the result. We have imported a lot of antibody test, but what happened is 30% of it is error, showing error. Also, several states have independently ordered thousands of kits, mainly from China. They are also in a confusion now what to do with this. Also, the ICMR has advised the state that, see, this rapid antibody testing can be used for surveillance. With errors, also, we can use it for surveillance, but don't use those results to take medically important decisions. So, for mass surveillance and all, you can just use it, but not for taking any important decision. Also, the results will be crucial and for all countries including the US. They are looking for zero surveillance, the process that will determine the status of the population of COVID-19. So this rapid antibody testing was very important for testing the mass people, like how much prevalent is COVID in the entire population. To find that, this rapid test was very important. If zero surveillance, here you can see a term here, zero surveillance. It refers to surveillance through blood serum. As we already seen, rapid antibody test is using the blood samples to find the antibodies. So zero surveillance refers to the test of the blood serum, right? Also, there are reports that are indicating that some vendors of the rapid testing devices in China have no prior experience in the field. People without any experience are making the kits and sending it to, exporting it to countries like India, US, and all. Then definitely there will be errors, right? So in the immediate, therefore, India, while making purchase decisions, we have to call for rigorous review of those purchase decision. We have to see whether the vendors are credible, the people who are making the kits, whether they have any prior experience or not, right? Also, in the immediate context, the message should go out to states that rapid test cannot substitute for RT-PCR test to diagnose it. RT-PCR test is the antigen test, which is considered more reliable. So the state should be made understand that this antibody test is not at all reliable compared to the antigen test, that is the PCR test. So that is the crux of the article. I hope you understood this. Now let's go to the next article. The article talks about the COVID-19 paradox in South Asia. What is the paradox which is happening here? The paradox is that here they are giving some statistics. The first person tested positive for COVID on June 21st in the United States, and January 21st in US, and on Jan 30th in India. So it's like only a gap of around 9 days, right? But US has accounted for 31.2% of the infections, whereas India has accounted for only 0.75 of the world total infections. So there is a drastic change. Coming to the deaths also, US accounted for around 21.7% of the deaths worldwide, whereas India accounted for only 0.33 of the world's total. So this is said to be the paradox. Why? Why it is so? Why South Asia, including India, is having very less infections as well as deaths? So that is said to be the paradox here. Also, coming to whole of South Asia with a share of 23.4% in world population, it accounted for only 1.25% of the infections and only 0.5% of the COVID deaths of the world. So, but before the pandemic, if we consider this situation, it would have been unimaginable, right? For example, if we think that, oh my god, if a virus disease like COVID comes in India, we thought that there will be lot of deaths. much more than USA, much more than in European countries. We would have thought that, but the situation is opposite, which is happening now. So why is this so? The article tries to analyze. Okay. Also, there are evidence that suggests that the flattening of the curve is happening in the South Asian countries. Nepal is in double digit, Bhutan, Bhutan's infection is in single digit, and India, Pakistan are able to flatten the curve a bit, right? Now, also there is another thing. In the 1918 Spanish influenza, India accounted for around 18 to 20 million of the estimated 50 million deaths in the world. It's like around 2 out of 5 deaths happened in India during the Spanish influenza of 1918. So, what changed from that 1918 to this 2020? What happened in this 100 years that India is becoming more resistant to these infections? So there are some explanations which are given. I'll be reading that one by one. First, the reality might be much worse than the statistics. Here they are telling that the total number of infections might be more, but the testing might have been less, so that the numbers don't indicate the actual infections. That can be one reason. The second reason can be the lockdowns imposed by the governments in India, Bangladesh, Pakistan, or Sri Lanka, which started in the last week of March and all. They might have made a difference here, but this might not be a good explanation, because there are other countries which have imposed lockdown, say in the Western Europe, with public sector systems which are much better than India, but they are not able to slow down the epidemic. So the lockdown theory might not be that much correct. What can be the other hypothesis as per this article? It has been suggested that countries which have taken mandatory BCG vaccinations against tuberculosis are less susceptible to COVID 19 morbidity and mortality. So, countries like India have made compulsory for like universal, there is a vaccination of BCG which is taken universally in India, right? They're also mentioning about the examples of Spain and Portugal. They are two neighboring countries in the Iberian Peninsula. We'll be seeing where is Iberian Peninsula in the next slide. Okay. So comparing Spain and Portugal, who are neighbors, Spain has around 196,000 infections and 20,000 deaths, whereas the Portugal has only 20,000 infections and only 700 deaths. So neighboring countries, very much difference in the infections and the death. Why? And it is no, also it is said that Portugal has made BCG vaccines mandatory, but not in Spain. So this is also another example which points out to the fact that BCG vaccines might have a deterrence effect in the COVID pandemic, right? So for that reason, perhaps some countries are running trials of BCG against COVID-19 or thinking of it as a means to protect the health workers. So the research is going on. The results are not out as of now. Let's wait in the future to see what is the effect of BCG vaccine against the COVID-19 disease. Also in South Asian countries, universal BCG vaccines is mandatory. So that can be a reason why South Asia is facing a less COVID prevalence, right? So this is what the article talks about. This article is important for mains also. You can write, you can bring in more dimensions regarding COVID pandemic. One is lockdown theory, one is the BCG theory, etc. So coming to BCG vaccine, what is BCG vaccine? It is Bacillus calmette-guerin vaccine. It is a vaccine primarily used against tuberculosis. In countries where tuberculosis or leprosy is common, one dose is recommended in healthy babies as close to the time of birth as possible. So when the baby is born itself, people in countries of South Asia and all, they take the BCG, they give the BCG vaccine to the babies, right? So this might be the reason why the prevalence of COVID is less in countries like India. Also, we have discussed about the Iberian Peninsula. So this area in dark is the Iberian Peninsula. You can see Portugal here, you can see Spain here. They are neighboring countries. Also, let me just recall what is a peninsula. A peninsula is a land which is surrounded on three sides by water. You can see here almost three sides of the Iberian Peninsula is covered by water. Also, there are some geographically important terms here. You can see this Gibraltar, UK, right? There's a narrow part of water, narrow water which is flowing through between Africa and Spain, connecting the Atlantic Ocean and the Mediterranean Sea. This kind of water, the narrow passage of water which connects two bigger seas or oceans. For example, here Mediterranean Sea and Atlantic Ocean, it is called as a strait. Strait, strait, right? So here the strait is Strait of Gibraltar. So you can just remember this geographical concept also. So just remember what is a peninsula. This is the Iberian Peninsula. Then what is a strait? And this is the Strait of Gibraltar. Okay. So this is for the geographical concept. Now coming to the next article, protection for protectors. Here the article discusses about the recent ordinance which has amended the Epidemic Diseases Act of 1897 to give protection for the health workers. As we have seen, there are many violence which are happening against the health workers who are trying to collect samples from the going to the localities where patients are infected. Also, there have been cases where the doctors are asked to vacate their houses in the fear of COVID pandemic. So, in the backdrop of this, the Union Cabinet has decided to promulgate an ordinance to amend the Epidemic Diseases Act. And the violence against the medical personnel are made a cognizable and non-bailable offense. Cognizable offense means the arrest can be arrest can be done without a warrant. Okay, and non-bailable means the person cannot take the bail in the police station. The bail can be obtained only in the court, and that too, it is a privilege of the court whether to grant bail or not. We have discussed this in detail in yesterday's news. Please go through the yesterday's video to see more about Epidemic Diseases Act of 1897. Why was it when was it enacted? For example, it was during the plague in Bombay. All those things you can read it from yesterday's video, or the PDF you can download it from the description, right? Now coming to the next article, DRDO develops mobile virology lab. So the Defense Minister Rajnath Singh inaugurated through video conferencing a mobile virology research and diagnostic lab. It has been developed by DRDO, ESIC hospital and the private industry. So as per Rajnath Singh, the mobile lab will be helpful in carrying out diagnosis of COVID-19 and virus culturing for drug screening, convalescent plasma derived therapy, comprehensive immune profiling of patients towards vaccine development and early clinical trials. So in short, it can help in testing, it can help in developing therapies to fight the COVID pandemic, and it can help in developing the vaccine. So this is what in short. Here we have seen a term called as convalescent plasma derived therapy. We'll see what it is. We have already explained it in a previous video, but we'll see once revise it again. Okay. So the specialty of this lab is that it can process 1000 to 2000 samples a day. Also, it can be positioned anywhere in the country. So that's why it is called as the mobile virology lab, right? So coming to the convalescent plasma derived therapy. What is a convalescent plasma? As we all know, people who are recovered from the COVID-19, they have antibodies to the diseases in their blood. Because when the antigen comes, the body develops antibodies. So the people who have recovered, they have antibodies in their blood. Now doctors call this as convalescent plasma. Researchers hope that the convalescent plasma which is there in the recovered people, they can be taken and given to people with severe COVID-19 to boost their ability to fight the virus. So it's like taking antibodies from the recovered people and putting it in the people who are severe patients of COVID, so that their immunity increases and better fight the COVID pandemic. So this is called convalescent plasma therapy. Now, coming to the last topic, Kamakya Temple Festival called off. This is very important for prelims because every year, usually, this is in current affairs. For example, you might have heard of the Ambubachi Mela. That is the Kamakya Temple Festival this article is talking about. Ambubachi Mela is very important for prelims. Okay. With the lockdown, the annual festival at the Kamakya Temple, that is the Ambubachi Mela. They could have mentioned it directly. I don't know why they didn't mention it. Here have been cancelled for the first time in its recorded history. So there are some legends about this temple. It is atop the Nilachal hills. It is said to be built by the demon king Narakasura. Okay, and records are available only from 1565 when the Koch king Nara Narayana has the temple rebuilt. Koch King, they are the people, the king's dynasty from Assam. Okay. Also, Kamake is one of the 51 Shakti Peeths. What are Shakti Peeths? They are the holy sites for the followers of the Shakti cult, each representing a body part of Sati, Lord Shiva's companion. I hope you know the legend regarding Sati and Shiva, right? So, it is said that Kamake is one of these 51 temples where a body part of Sati is being kept, right? It is said that the temple sanctum sanctorum, that is the main part of the temple, it houses the yoni, that is the female genitals, symbolized by a rock, right? And this festival marks the annual menstruation of goddess Kamakya. So that's why this can be asked as a prelims question. Also, at the end, they have mentioned the annual Ambubachi Mela, right? So I hope you guys will remember this for the from the prelims perspective. And this is the Kamakya temple where the Ambubachi Mela is conducted. Okay, I hope, and yeah, that's all for today's articles. I hope you like the video. Please subscribe to the channel, share it with your friends so that the aspirants will find it useful. Okay, have a nice day. Thank you.